Hi, I'm Nicole and this is Charlie. Welcome to Nurturing Compassion. Here on this channel, I talk about becoming the most compassionate versions of ourselves through our lifestyle choices. If this is something you're interested in, please consider hitting the red subscribe button. About the mirror test, which is a test used by scientists to help evaluate the self-awareness of animals. Now, the mirror test was developed in the 1970s, and essentially what happens is that scientists will put a red dot or a sticker of some kind on an animal's forehead and then show a mirror to them, and depending on if the animal tries to scrape off the mark or if they look at it for an exceptionally long time, they are considered passing the mirror test because essentially they understand that it is themselves that they are looking at in the mirror. Now, I just want to say that I am completely against animal testing of all kind, but this does happen, and I just want to point out some of the flaws with this test because, first of all, I'm getting like a Charlie horse in my leg stretch. First of all, it really favors anthropocentric senses as the main means of telling whether an animal is self-aware, in the sense that it is so heavily based on vision that a lot of animals aren't able to pass simply because vision isn't their primary sense. Just because, a bat can't see that they have a mark doesn't mean that they're any less self-aware than we are. So because of that, a lot of animals have failed, including dogs, right? And we know that vision is not the main sense that dogs use. They are primarily smell-based, so it is a very biased test, which I think is what is skewing the results. There are a lot of animals that have failed, and in fact, it also fails to consider just different norms that animals have, different ways of reacting to a dot on their head. For example, gorillas, they do not like making eye contact. And so even though a gorilla will see the mark in the mirror, they will not remove it until they are able to be by themselves, and then they will try to scrub it off. So technically they would have failed, even though they still knew it was there and they knew it was on themselves. What's really, really interesting though, is that when they did this test on children who were not born in the Western world, some of these children actually failed the test. Human being children. And so I think that really shows just the cultural aspect of this test and how biased it is. Even some human beings who were fully intellectually, mentally capable of passing did not, simply because they didn't have the socialization that we have around mirrors. Another thing is animals who don't really care if they have a dot on them. There are plenty of animals who notice that they have the dot, they see themselves, but they don't necessarily care. They don't feel a need to scratch it off. The mirror test is not a very accurate test. I think that there are other things that should be put into place to measure animal consciousness. And what's interesting is that even when animals do display that they are self-aware by these human goalposts, the goalpost is constantly moving. And as soon as scientists try to claim that an animal is displaying signs of intelligence, people blame anthropomorphism. Anthropomorphism is essentially putting human characteristics onto non-human animals. And so when an animal displays every sign of being in love, for example, people will say, you're just a human who is assuming that that is what that animal is feeling, that animal's not capable of feeling that. And so we're sort of in this catch-22 of believing that animals are not intelligent and that they are not possible of having these emotions, but when they do display the signs of these emotions, we blame anthropomorphism and that it's just our imagination. And whenever animals display that they are intelligent, we just move the goalpost farther, so they have to continue proving and proving that they are intelligent, when it is extremely likely that animals are just intelligent in their own ways, that we are probably stupid when it comes to being able to smell from a dog's perspective. And so we cannot be measuring animal intelligence by these human measures. It's not fair. It's not going to give us an accurate description of an animal's intelligence or self-awareness or consciousness or whatever it is you want to measure. So I just wanted to share these findings with you that I learned about recently, because I think that it is really worthwhile. And you see that even when animals are proving that they are intelligent, it doesn't necessarily change the way we treat them. Pigs are super intelligent, but we are still raising and slaughtering them at such a high rate every single year. And they pass the mirror test, they're self-aware, they're able to learn to play video games. But it doesn't matter, because humans, there's something structurally wrong with the way that our system is built and the way that we exploit animals. It doesn't matter what science is finding. Science is constantly finding that animals are far more intelligent than previously believed. But until something changes in the structure of how we treat animals, it's not going to matter how many studies scientists come out with. Just look at climate change. Climate change is happening. Climate change is human caused, but how much policy is there, especially in the US, that is meant to combat climate change? Knowledge is not power. Right now in this world that we live in, money is power. A lot of the power is concentrated in these big corporations who have lobby groups who sway the politics in their favor. But the good thing is that there is still social power. There is still social power within people. The power of people to speak out and to fight for what is right. And I think that that is going to be very critical in this animal rights movement. So we as people, as civilians, as voters, we need to keep educating ourselves about the science and about the truth so that we can fight for a world where animals are liberated from the oppression of humans. I hope that you learned something in this video, and I hope that you will share it with someone else, because I think that this message is really important. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!